Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
F***ing hell, this is
We got the giggles.
We have the giggles. So we've been recording for about an hour already for the Bruce Willis extravaganza, and now we're going to record our disaster movie extravaganza for the action film life thingy podcast, whatever.
And this
whatever
one will
the hell
only do
this
once.
Is. Oh my god, yeah. I mean, and it's late. We've been working hard all day, possibly. I know I have. I can't really speak to Lottie.
I always work hard, Fred.
At everything else but your job.
Everything
yes.
I do. I'm working hard to sit still right now. I deserve major props for that.
I always give you major props for that, Lottie.
Good, because I'm not doing it again.
Yeah, you can't pay me enough to do this again. This is disgusting. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what we're doing. We're doing action films.
A triplet of disaster films, starting with, because we couldn't let him go, our boy Bruce Willis in Armageddon.
Our boy Bruce Willis in Armageddon. An early Michael Bay foray into...
space!
Into good old space.
I have false memories about this film. You see, I'm pretty sure I saw Armageddon and Deep Impact when they came out. And they're so similar that I kind of just merged them into the same film in my mind.
Well, they were released exactly the same year in 1998. And we'll get onto Deep Impact later on. She's readjusting her headset.
Sorry,
there we go.
I was readjusting because I was getting hair in my eyes.
IMDb and Metacritic to this are 6.7 out of 10 and a 42 out of 100. Which, again, fair. I think that's pretty fair. And because I haven't sent you the lovely synopses of this film...
How am I supposed to read?
Through a great ventriloquist act to myself,
okay.
I was going to read them.
See how easy... Oh, mind you, if you do this first try, I'm going to look like an idiot.
That is my intention.
You had better fail spectacularly, Fred.
Well, I probably won't if you shut the hell up.
In that case, I won't.
In that case, after discovering that an asteroid the size of Texas will impact Earth in less than a month, NASA recruits a misfit team of deep core drillers to save the planet. Fuck you.
I really tried, but you kept going. Well done.
I can't. Oh, I can't do this. This is... I cannot work under these conditions. Ugh.
I don't think everyone heard you. Maybe you should say it again.
Oh, shut up. Everyone heard me just fine. My microphone is spectacular and I don't need to do no more takes. I don't do second takes.
No notes.
What do you think of your performance, Fred? Excellent, Fred. No notes. 10 out of 10. Won't need to do it again. Okay. Right, Armageddon. Jesus, Bruce Willis and Michael Bay go to the moon. They don't even go to the moon. They go to an asteroid.
Yeah, I don't think they... Do they swing round the moon? That might also be Deep Impact.
No, I think you're right. I think they do swing round the moon because they have to build up enough speed to get to the asteroid. That is this one, and I don't think that's Deep Impact. So, oh my god, how do people... Like, this is the same sort of thing that we will come to eventually with films like The Raid and Judge Dredd. It's just like, how were two separate studios writing basically exactly the same film at the same time?
Did something happen maybe a couple of years before this came out? Was there an actual real-life scare where a meteor came close to hitting the Earth? I'm wondering maybe if something like that happened.
And yeah, like a group of writers were all just inspired to write
but what if it did? Yeah.
Yeah. Because it is and I didn't realise this because up until a couple of weeks ago we watched it, I'd never seen Deep Impact. I've seen this before.
Oh.
But so
yes,
this was the one that was stuck in my mind. But I forgot how bloody slow it is.
It's very slow. I mean, it starts off quite fun. They're on an oil rig, and Bruce Willis nearly kills Ben Affleck.
Yeah, not intentionally, although...
No, he goes after him with a gun.
Oh,
I feel like that's
it's the
intentional.
shotgun thing, isn't it? Yeah. No, I thought there was just like an accident on the oil rig. But yes, he does go after Ben Affleck because he's sleeping with his daughter, Liv Tyler.
Liv Tyler's pretty keen for him not to shoot Ben Affleck.
Yes, but Bruce Willis is just unhinged in the sort of like overly protective dad trope.
Yeah, which you don't see a lot of nowadays. It's kind of run its course, that. Which, thank goodness.
I mean, it can be played off very well, but at the same time, you're just not introducing Bruce Willis as a likeable character when he immediately just goes after Ben Affleck with a shotgun on an oil rig.
It's
not,
a very dangerous thing to do.
Yeah, and everyone just seems to kind of let it slide.
You're just like, it's a regular old Monday, someone's going to get killed.
Yeah. It's just like, Bruce is at it with the shotgun again, here we go. And again, it's probably... I don't know what the writing team for this film are like, if they are the writing team that like Michael Bay kind of has for like the Transformers films and all those sorts of stuff, where he's run his shtick into the ground. But I just don't feel like this writing team does character development in terms of like...
No.
Subtlety. Like subtlety and nuance and everything. This is a very brash and a very...
It's trying to hit all the beats, but not in any way that it ties them together at all.
Oh.
That's how I feel about it. Like, okay, so he's a father, therefore... does not want his daughter to date anyone, have him shoot Ben Affleck. Okay, the daughter, she's in love with Ben Affleck. Quick love scene between them. And by that I just mean they go for a picnic.
They go for a picnic. They go for like 17 different like picnics.
Lots of picnics, because that's what people in love do.
Yeah, it's all they do is
they
picnics.
Go for picnics.
But at the same time, like, it's kind of... Yeah, Michael Bay's sense of filmmaking is not subtle whatsoever. And again, it's gotten worse over the years, but this is still a clear indication of just like unsubtle, like blunt, forced trauma filmmaking, where like the character tropes are two-dimensional if you're lucky, and there's not a lot else really to... Like, you're not in it for the characters anyway if you're going for a disaster movie.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't necessarily mind that these characters are a bit blur if the action's good, but the action doesn't really start until way later on.
Well, yeah, this is like a 2.5 hour film, and I can't remember the exact point, but it's a 2.5 hour film, and I feel like they don't get into space until at least like an hour and 15 minutes or something. And I'll put the exact time of like when they do get into space, but it takes them for fucking ever.
So many montages beforehand.
Yeah, I will say most of this first act, I guess, of like them getting into space is carried quite heavily by Billy Bob Thornton. And his like weary... He's just like, I have to train a bunch of idiot oil workers
to like... no astronauts can drill.
Yeah. No, yeah, they sort of make the asteroid into this sort of like armoured demon that only oil riggers can drill through. Although...
But you can drive on it.
Oh shit, I didn't even start the timer, did I? That's great of me. No, I don't even know how long we've been talking about this. But
I'd say we've been talking about it for about 7 minutes.
Oh, well, okay then.
I'm going to be very precise here. 7 minutes.
And I will put on screen now if Lottie is actually anywhere near being correct or not. But
come on, future Lottie.
Actually, no, we've been talking to it for about... I'd say we probably had about 2 or 3 minutes of preamble. So, because OBS records. OBS has a timer on how long you've been recording or streaming. So, we've been recording for about 12 minutes at this point. So,
that seems pretty good then.
Okay. Well, we got another 10 minutes or so of this film, then, I guess.
I can
don't know.
tell the time.
I can tell the time. Well, I can tell the time. Anyway, that was a little I Can Tell the Time song. I hope you enjoyed that.
I did.
Armageddon. Oh my god, I'm so tired. I don't.
Armageddon. So there's an asteroid heading for Earth, basically, and the only people who can save it are drilling people. So we need a montage of getting all the drilling people to the asteroid base. And oh my goodness, who turns up but Luke Wilson? Or is it Owen Wilson? Which one was it? One of the Wilsons.
Owen! Oh my god, your Wilson blindness again.
I may also have Wilson blindness.
You do have.
To be fair, though, they look very similar.
This happened in Charlie's Angels as well.
Which
one happened
was
with Charlie's Angels?
And possibly Starsky and Hutch.
Oh, and Starsky and Hutch, yes.
Which one was
And,
which? I don't know. Someone help me.
Yeah, but you got it wrong. It is Owen Wilson in this one. It is Owen Wilson, cowboy extraordinaire.
Yes. He just appears out of nowhere. I don't know how famous he would have been at this point, but I feel like they should have at least used him to do something. He doesn't do anything, really.
No, I again, half of this film is them getting ready for space.
They half the film is them introducing characters to get ready for space, and then they launch into space and kill half the characters.
And then they kill off. Yeah.
Well, they don't. To be fair, I think they just kill off Mr. Wilson.
No, they kill off Owen Wilson. He is, weirdly enough, the first one to die, and it took us a while to realise he was dead as well.
Yeah, I was like, which one is it? Who's dead? And then we realised it was Wilson.
And we kind of did a roll call in our heads, and we were just like, is it A, B, C, D? Oh, it's Owen, okay.
Got him.
But because they kill off... my memory of the film is slightly more... again, I thought everyone did. I thought it was a whole sort of suicide mission sort of thing, because obviously.
So did I, but I was, spoiler alert, thinking of Deep Impact.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That is what happens in that. Anyway, it's fine. But at the same time, I thought the whole classic, ending of this film, which is Bruce Willis having his heart-to-heart with Liv Tyler and the hand on the monitor and Aerosmith's I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, all that sort of jazz. I thought that was right at the end of everything where everyone didn't make it off the asteroid, and Bruce Willis is one of the last ones and is just right, we've got to send a message to my daughter. But no, 3-4 people maybe die out of this 10-man crew or something. It's weird.
They have 2 ships that go there instead of one, and one of it crashes and some people die, and the other one take a buggy, and they decided to drive to the other spot because why not?
Oh yeah, that's Ben Affleck's ship. Ben Affleck's ship is the one that crashes spectacularly, and then Ben Affleck.
They think he's dead.
Michael Clarke Duncan, who's and. I think it's
Serge.
Serge?
Is its name Serge, the random Russian that they run into? Because they have to refuel for some reason in the International Space Station. And they run into Serge, and then they accidentally blow up the International Space Station because someone left the tap running.
Yeah, in a classic thing, actually, this is why I think he's got the same writing team as Transformers, because he doesn't understand how anything fucking works. In a classic, how does Michael Bay not realise that this isn't how the ISS works? The International Space Station is not just run by one fucking Russian dude. They have a team of at least
apart.
Yeah, they have a team of 6 to 7 people. Probably more than that, I would assume. I actually don't know myself.
I think this one is just a Russian thing that the Russians are letting them dock there to refuel as a favour because they also don't want the world to blow up. I'm not sure it's the International Space Station.
I also have a feeling they literally call it the International Space Station at one point.
Because they were like, I don't want to go with no Russians. And they were like, well, you have to because they're doing this as a favour for us. Ha 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 ha.
I feel like they do call it the International Space Station, which is what makes it even more egregious, is that there's just one. It's Peter Serafinowicz, isn't it? No, not Peter Serafinowicz.
No, he'd be great. But I don't
Peter
think it's him.
Stormare. Why do I always get those two mixed up? They are completely different people. It's Peter Stormare, again playing his usual slimy self.
He was a breath of fresh air at this point. It was getting very stale.
Oh.
So when he entered the scene, I was like, Serge, you are my hero, save this film.
Yeah, and then he doesn't save the film. He's just a bit of a moany
He does
Merkel.
help, though. Every scene with Serge in there, I really hope his name's Serge. Every scene with him in it is great.
His name is
It's
Blam.
great.
I don't know.
He's just great. Love you, Serge.
I think probably he is great because he does call the Americans out on a lot of their bullshit.
And he does some really weird stuff as well, which I think this film needs. It's a bit more weirdness.
Yeah, it's a very straight-laced... Like, the thing is, like, it's bombastic in a sort of sense where, like, you know, obviously you're landing spaceships on an asteroid the size of the United States. Like, you know, it's obviously
Easy.
dumb as hell. It's dumb as hell. But it all plays it, and you know, again, this is just the Bay, where he just plays it off very seriously, very patriotic. Didn't we both collectively lose our minds when they did those very slow? They did the hero shot where they all worked up to the rocket, and
it was a huge,
but it's very
flag
patriotic
underneath
music.
them.
There's like. Yeah, they're all like about to go into space, and they do the generic. It almost seems like parody of itself, where they're like slow motion walking to the spaceship.
Oh, it was
There's a
great.
flag in the background, and
It was
you know,
great.
It's just like, yeah, and we're just like, that's so dumb and so serious about how dumb it is, like. Because so serious about how dumb it is that it doesn't realise how dumb it is, and that's, I think. I don't know, sort of the beauty of Michael Bay films, where like he doesn't quite realise how dumb they are. He thinks they're deadly serious. Like, you're landing.
Oh no, he can't think that this was. He doesn't play it as serious. I think he was having fun with this one.
Nah, there are other films of his where you're like, yeah, he's having a bit of a nod and a wink to the camera. Like, I feel like The Rock is a little less serious tone than this, like with like Sean Connery's like nudge wink, you know, style of everything. God, I want to watch The Rock again. But The Rock's a classic.
It's all right.
I'm pretty sure you gave it like an A tier, but okay. It's all right, 4 stars.
It's all right. 5 stars, no notes.
Middling experience. Perfect film.
Love it.
I don't know. I do feel like even when they get into space, like, because the first half of this film is so slow.
Very slow.
When they do get
Just
into
astronaut
space,
training, really.
yeah. When they do get into space, everything is sped up to 11, and
Which at this point it was kind of a relief.
slightly, but you feel like
It's also when Serge turned up,
it's also when Serge turned up, so you had Peter Stormare get like
helping
with a
me
sigh
get
of
through.
relief. Yeah, exactly. I just feel like a lot of the oil rig drilling shit is not
Interesting.
it's not interesting. They speed run it. They speed run that portion of the film. They do that weird thing with Steve Buscemi as well.
Oh yeah, I was going to mention. I've got a note about Steve Buscemi. Whereas they set up his character well. He's like this little con man. They got to make like demands to the US for their help because obviously the world's going to end. And he was like, I don't ever want to pay taxes again. And I was like, that is such a good ask. Imagine if you didn't have to pay taxes, you'd be like 30% off, better off. At least in the UK, probably way better off in the US. I don't really know how taxes work there. But I was like, that's a great ask. I need to remember that if I ever have that higher leverage against the UK government. I don't want to pay taxes.
Ever again.
And then as soon as he goes into space, they say he's gone space crazy, where he just tries to kill himself and everyone else, and they have to tie him up. and then he just
gets
makes
a hold of like
he
gets a hold of a minigun or something, doesn't he?
And he
gets
starts shooting everything.
Yeah.
And they do a Con Air on him, as in they set him up, and then they do nothing with him, and they have to tie him to a chair.
Yeah, I think this one is slightly, probably slightly worse than the Con Air thing as well, because there is not a, with some films where you have someone going in a gradual descent into madness, it is a gradual descent. Like they say a little bit of things that are worrying to some people, and then there more and more things go wrong, and then you have the big reveal where they're crazy.
Yeah, this came out of nowhere.
Except Steve Buscemi he just flips a switch and
he's like, I'm crazy now.
Batshit insane. It's like, wait a minute, no, you weren't. You weren't crazy like 30 seconds ago. Again, but that's just the shitty writing. But like,
I'm surprised they didn't leave him there. They even brought him back. Luke Owen Wilson had to die. They kept Steve Buscemi around.
Luke Owen Wilson had to die. Didn't Michael Clarke Duncan die in this film as well? I keep forgetting if he did die, because they killed the... This is going to sound really harsh, but it is literally the characteristics of these characters. They kill the fat guy, don't they?
They do, but not straight away. He survives a little bit longer, and then he was like, I love you, Mum, and blip.
Yeah, boom. But I can't remember who else they kill.
I think there was the nameless pilots of the... Oh, they probably weren't nameless, but I don't know who they were. Of the first ship. And that was it, I think. Not a lot of people died. Only really Luke Owen Wilson and the other guy.
Luke Owen Wilson. I love the combined Wilson brother that you've come up with.
It's the ultimate Mega Wilson.
Ultimate Mega Wilson. I love it. What would you give Little Armageddon?
I don't know whether to give it a B or a C.
Yeah, the thing that really pushes it down for me is that I think the nostalgia of Armageddon being a really great, dumb, stupid film, probably more... I think I remember it more fondly than I give it credit for.
I'm going to give it a C, because if you wanted to watch a film like this, you would just watch Deep Impact. There's no reason to watch this.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to break this up. I think I'm going... we're actually having a lot of agreements over these like... Again...
It's because you're tired.
You don't really have... I can't be bothered to form my own opinions because I'm too tired, so I'm just agreeing with you on all these ratings.
Which is how I like it.
No, I mean... We might disagree on a couple of other films, but it's fine. Anyway, yeah, the nostalgia thing... And again, Liv Tyler doesn't have anything to do in this film. Liv Tyler is
she's
literally...
such a waste, because whenever she's on screen, she's amazing. Why did they have her do nothing?
Yeah, she is there to be Ben Affleck's partner. And the reason Ben Affleck has to come home. And
also the reason Bruce Willis has to die.
Yeah, oh yeah, they have to have that emotional... And they have to have Liv Tyler crying, which for a long time was the only thing... She's very good at it. The only thing that we think Liv Tyler can actually do well is cry.
She can cry really well, but she can do other things really well too, and that's what people forget.
No one else remembers that she's actually like a talented actress and can do other shit really well. So, Geostorm, Lottie. We're going to move on.
Geostorm,
the 2017 classic with Gerhard Butler.
I've got a hot take on this.
Oh, do you? Well, let me read us our plot synopsis for
I'll try not to put you off.
Yes, you will. She leans forward.
Go ahead, Fred. Read it.
Chin resting on
fist. Go ahead and read it.
Read it, Fred. Go read it. Go read it.
Go on, I dare you. I dare you to read it. Go on.
Just looked over at my phone and she's just staring intently, just like, what the fuck are you doing?
Are you reading it
now?
Are you reading it?
It's such a bitch.
How dare you?
And scene. When the network of satellites designed to control the global climate starts to attack Earth, it's a race against the clock for its creator to uncover the real threat before a worldwide geostorm wipes out everything and everyone. That's a long-winded way of saying Gerhard Butler has to save the day.
You read it fine.
You're annoyed, aren't you?
Just, there was no emotion in it, Fred. Where's your emotion?
I don't emote. I'm not an actor. I'm a movie star. Okay? I don't emote. I turn up for the paycheck. When
I was watching this film, they had this opening sequence of this little girl reading out loud what happened. Like, there was all these storms, and then you get little clips of Paris being destroyed and other things. And I was like, oh, this is going to be great. They don't show anything like that. The film I wanted to watch was just the montage at the beginning.
You get plenty of, like, destructive bits throughout the film.
You get, like, 2.
You get little... Well, okay, you get the big tidal wave hitting Dubai. Is it Dubai?
I think it's Hong Kong Island.
No, Hong Kong gets the volcano.
Oh, they get the volcano, right?
They get, because there's that. The Hong Kong. Oh God, is it Daniel Day Kim? No, fuck, I can't remember the actor's name. He's the one who's in Into the Badlands.
He's in everything.
Yeah, he's in Into the Badlands. Which was a kick-ass martial arts.
I was like, you would recognise him if you saw him, but I don't know anyone's name.
Because he's the one who buys eggs that then cook on the pavement, and then the whole of Hong Kong goes up in fire tornadoes.
He's the one who outruns it in a car.
Yes, he outruns it in like a little smart car.
Very great sequence. I liked that.
Yeah,
and it's all because of the. Oh my gosh! So they fixed the out of control weather with a little sort of space, I don't know, satellite surrounding the world. And they call it... a net
of satellites.
They call it the little Dutch boy after the I guess the tale of the Dutch boy who put his finger in a dam to stop it from bursting. But
yes,
throughout the whole film, they keep calling this thing the little Dutch boy, and it just sounds
yeah, you hated that.
It just sounded so ridiculous, but not in a good way.
Every time these brothers have to talk about, like, how are we going to fix Dutch Boy? And you're just like...
It's such a serious film. And every time they say Dutch Boy, it really takes you out of it.
Like, yeah, it is a pretty silly name. I mean, I will say, I think...
anything, Fred.
By the time this film came out, which is 2017, I think a lot of people were getting, like, disaster movie fatigue. So
this is why they didn't bother making a disaster film for this one. They lied to me. I wanted a disaster film, and they gave me a whodunit in space.
You know what? That's kind of what it is. They sprinkle disaster elements in it, but yeah. And again, they do put a fair bit of disaster elements in this film. But like IMDb only give it a 5.3.
It's too high.
And Metacritic pan it by giving it a 21 out of 100.
You know what? That's got to be worse than the 1.
It is. It's 4 points lower than the 1, so we can be happy with that. Because finally a film has gotten lower than the 1.
Finally, the 1 has got a little bit of respect back. Not as much as it deserves. Oh, TK.
It will always have a lot of respect in our hearts, though. Let's be honest.
I never cried so hard I had to leave the room.
You did. We had to pause the film and leave the room when TK died.
Yeah, it's
TK.
Anyway, I can't talk about that anymore. I will cry.
This is the thing. It is a slightly different take on a disaster movie. They have all these little like race against the clock elements. Like, you know, there is a geostorm that is going to happen. Geostorm is this sort of threshold that will be passed when basically the AI of the net of satellites goes haywire and they can't fix the Earth anymore, so it just lets it destroy itself.
So that it starts off with this frost in the desert.
This kind of frost in a like
but one of the
There's
deserts.
some sort of like Afghanistan village or something
Yeah.
that just gets frozen solid, like frozen instantly, which they then repeat later on in the film in
Is it
Brazil.
another Frost? Oh yes. Oh, it's great. They got this great actress, and she's playing just like a bit part. She's Brazilian. She's on the beach. She's having a fun time, as I'm sure people on the beach do. And then suddenly,
Especially in Brazil.
the frost and the cold is coming, and she has to run from it. And we just follow her. She's running, trying to outrun the cold, so she doesn't die. And there's planes ahead of her that she can see are just falling from the sky because for some reason I guess that maybe they were frozen over too. And then she makes it out of there. I was like, is she okay? And then you never cut back to her. Is she okay? I need to know.
You need to know the story of this Brazilian woman.
I think I was so bored at this point that I thought I need to know this woman's story. She is so much more interesting than anything I've seen so far. What happens to her?
Yeah, everything on the Earth is more interesting to Lottie than what happens in space in this film.
Yes.
You have Gerard Butler, who plays
Brother One,
the guy, Brother One, who basically invented Dutch Boy, came up with Dutch Boy, and
he sure did, and came up with that name, Dutch Boy.
Pretty much headed all the systems, built most of the systems that were on Dutch Boy.
It's his baby.
He's the grand architect of it, and he then gets kicked off of it because he's just like
super ego gets the better of him, and he gets kicked off. Even though his brother's like, please just be a little bit humble, or they will fire you. And he's like, yo, bro. And then he was not humble, and they fired him, and then they replaced him with his brother.
Yeah, yo bro. I love that explanation. Yeah, like yo bro, like chill out, bro.
And then the brothers stop talking because he thinks that, he thinks
we can't also have a disaster film without some sort of familial conflict.
Yes.
Like some sort of
which is fine. I don't mind that sort of thing, but
yeah,
it was kind of boring, and also it didn't make sense that they stopped. I don't know. I don't understand why it was Brother Two's fault when it was clearly Brother One who was in the wrong.
Because you can't have our protagonist be at fault. Hollywood writers are not cleverer enough to make anti-hero in the form of someone like that. They have to have him be like, he's completely in the right, Gerard Butler, even though no, he definitely is not. It's just not something they can handle. They have to have it. It's got to be black and white, Lottie. It's got to be black and white. No grey area here.
Well, there was a bit of a grey area with Brother 2 where he was dating a Secret Service agent.
A Secret Service agent.
Secret Service agent.
Oh,
and for some reason, he wasn't allowed to. I don't really understand why he wasn't allowed to date the Secret Service agent. Is she just not allowed to date anyone?
I'm not even going to pretend to know... To pretend that I know any of the Secret Service dating rules, but it's an intense job. I doubt they have any sort of time for relationships or anything because they're pretty much on guard all the time, aren't they? But
not all the time.
Not all the time. Even so, there's a lot of grey area and that sort of thing. There's a lot of liberties it takes because it then just turns into it turns into some sort of weird presidential assassination attempt, doesn't it?
But
because you of course have
was the president in
bad
it?
guy.
Was
he's
was the president in on it? I don't think he was. I think it was his number 2 who was in on it.
I think it's Ed Harris who plays the Secretary of Defense or something like that.
It had to be... This was a whodunit, but you're like, well, if it's not him, then it's the president. And it's not the president because they think
Harris,
it is.
Then, yeah, come on. You have Ed Harris who is,
It's got to be that guy because he's a famous actor. Done.
He's living in his villain era
Solved
as well.
Mystery. But then they had another mystery of who was doing it on the actual spaceship, which I didn't get until they told me, and I was like, oh, that's rubbish.
Yes, he's introduced to the multinational crew in like a sort of briefing room, and you've got like there's some Mexican, some French guy, the German lead who is sort of set up with some sort of romantic
Yes,
chemistry,
they
but not
they
really.
set up as if they were going to get together, and then they forgot to make them.
Yeah, they forgot to
forgot
give them
to
any
set them
scenes
up.
where they develop their relationship at all. Then you have the British guy, and I think there's a couple of others. There's an Indian guy like really early on, but
I
then
think he
he's one of the
dies.
first to die. He's one of
Yeah.
the first to die. Yeah. However, when it is revealed, because the British guy is, and I always forget this actor's name, but he was one of the leads in the Channel 4 show The Misfits.
And he's also Klaus in the Umbrella Academy.
Oh,
which
yes,
is a
I haven't seen
bit
that
more
actually,
recent.
but yeah. Yeah. But he is found out to be the guy who is behind all the space shenaniganizing, but is just a bit of a weak sauce kind of.
Is it because he
reveal.
wasn't American, or he doesn't like American? I've forgotten what the reason was that he did it.
I have forgotten what his motivation is as well. No, I think he's just getting a massive payout. I think he's just becoming like one of the super elite because he does this.
Well, I feel like it was a pretty bad reason, and then I think they kill him, or he dies.
Yeah, they kill him immediately. He gets sucked into space or something. Space. God, that's even worse than the Tim Curry one. I don't know. Lottie, what are you going to give Geostorm? When a D? Whoa, straight in there.
Oh, I could never watch this film again. It was so. I would think I was just so disappointed that it wasn't a disaster film.
It is interesting to me when you have reactions like this to film, because during the film, I would not have. We watched this. Did we watch this in person or on Skype? No, we watched this on Skype, didn't we?
Yeah.
Because Deep Impact was the only one we watched in person. However, watching this and like looking over at you on Skype and talking to you whilst we're watching the film, I would not say that this is the most bored I've ever seen you. Like, I wouldn't have said you were bored during this film.
I wasn't bored when I was watching this film because I was riffing on it and making up little side plots. Like in the end when they landed and the brothers were reunited and he went to the Secret Service agent saying, "This is my fiancée," and then I went to you and said, "And this is mine," pointing to that German girl.
Point to the German woman, and she's like,
"What?"
And she's like, "What?"
So I had a fun time, but I think the more it sat with me, the more I realised I disliked it. Sometimes I don't realise I don't like a film until a couple of weeks after I've seen it.
Yeah, and I think we've had a bit of a chance to kind of reflect on it. I mean, I do not think it is like the worst example of a disaster movie that we've ever seen. I can't think of what is off the top of my head at the moment, but I feel like it is a bit of a glitzy, like sci-fi disaster film. It's a C for me, but
they should have decided
amazing.
If they wanted it to be a disaster film or if they wanted it to be a whodunit thriller in space. They can't have it both ways.
But they wanted to have it both ways.
And
Lottie.
that's why they got a D.
And god damn it, they were going to try their damnedest.
I mean, it doesn't take a lot to impress me. So they have
going to make
thoroughly
all these
failed.
forgettable characters. They were going to make all these forgettable characters.
Oh, don't.
You remember the fishing metaphors as well?
Oh, it was like a little code. Oh my gosh, Fred, no, I can't.
No, this is the thing, because the last time I remember seeing, like, noticing you were visibly, like, absolutely horrifically bored from a film, we made a little short out of it. It was the Need for Speed one.
Well, I was feeling, I didn't like that film, but I think physically I wasn't feeling my best either. So that's probably why it showed more.
Yeah, it really did show, because I still have the picture. It's so funny. It's so funny of you just looking like absolutely devastatingly bored of that film.
I was so upset about not liking that film because poor old Aaron Paul was giving it his 110%, which it didn't deserve.
He did not deserve it, no.
God, they had Aaron Paul and they just wasted him on that. The hell's wrong with them?
A lot is wrong with it. It's Hollywood. A lot's wrong with Hollywood in general. Hence why they made your whodunit disaster film, like Geostorm.
Why would they make a disaster whodunit? What the?
Best film, 2017.
You've got to focus on one. But they decided to put equal into both, and it just, no. It turned into a disaster.
They did also have that like ridiculous lightning strike thing that like blew up they blew up like the Democratic National Party or something like that.
Yes, they did.
They had like they blew up the arena that the DNC was being held in or something like that. It was, and like the president escapes and Ed Harris tries to blow him up. It's like that's one of the ridiculous.
Actually, I quite like that part because that was interesting.
Yeah, and that's where they have that whole. Yeah, because that's when they drop the bombshell of just like, oh, the Secret Service woman is dating the president's advisor. Whoops, we just told the president.
Guess what? He doesn't care. Why would he?
He doesn't care because he's surrounded by lightning that is like laser targeted to his position. Yeah, exactly.
Also, he probably wouldn't care anyway because why would he? How would that affect her at all?
Yeah, also, it doesn't make sense actually in that film, like, because that Geostorm is targeted to like kill the president at that specific point. So why is, and if Ed Harris is in on the plot, why is Ed Harris in the same building? Shouldn't Ed Harris be over the other side of the fucking country?
Well, I think he was about to leave. To be like, I'm just going to go out for coffee and donuts, boys. And he'd be like, if only I hadn't gone out for coffee and donuts, I could have saved him. Well, I guess I'm president now.
Maybe there is a line of dialogue or something where he's like meant to be like leaving the convention, but then he gets like stopped. But yeah, it doesn't make sense that entire town gets covered in a blanket of lightning that blows up buildings.
I think they coated
and Ed Harris
that building,
is just hanging out.
They coated that building in gasoline. The way that it explodes.
It's a very nice segue into the next film, Lottie.
Did you give your out of?
Oh yes, I gave it a C. It's not the worst, but it wasn't that great. You're right. But Deep Impact starts off with a, and again, I've never seen this film before.
Whereas I saw it when it probably came out ish.
Yeah. It is one of those films that's always skipped me by, and by God, is it Armageddon 2.0? Is it? It's just, it starts off with, as Lottie said, a Jeep covered in gasoline,
rolling down a hill, and we're like, "Oh no, is he all right?" Boom!
It's so funny. Right. So this is the thing. The film starts with Elijah Wood, very young Elijah Wood, discovering this comet. They send the info to this scientist in an observatory who looks at it and is just like, oh shit, that's heading for Earth. So he rushes out, gets in a Jeep, drives off and gets in a car accident which sends him like flying down this hill. The Jeep he's in has to basically like scrape the rock and it goes up like fucking napalm. It
just exploded. We're like, oh, he's probably going to die, right? You can't survive that. And then there was this massive explosion and we're like, okay, he's dead. And you know what? Is all the wildlife there.
Yeah. And it's such a funny like start to the film. But then the film just kind of calms down, gets a lot more serious.
You kind of wonder, if he's the only one who knew about that, does the rest of the world know?
Yeah. Anyway, but we need to read the plot of this, Lottie.
Okay.
I just looked at myself in the camera feed, and I look like I'm asleep.
You're only saying that because you've got a pillow behind you and blankets up to your chin.
No, I am wearing like 3 layers. I'm fucking freezing. Like,
it's very cold today. Yes.
Yeah, I'm wearing t-shirt, my hoodie, and then my blanket hoodie as well.
It's good. You've got to layer up in weather like this.
Yeah. Anyway, a comet is discovered to be on a collision course with Earth. As doomsday nears, the human race prepares for the worst. Very oversimplified.
I like that though. You know what you're getting into. It doesn't spoil it. Some of these synopses we read, some of them are just wrong. So
some of them are just
that's actually quite good.
Yeah. IMDb 6.2 and a Metacritic score of 40 out of 100.
That's too low.
Yeah, this is the thing. This is exactly almost like point for point exactly the same sort of plot as Armageddon, except with less oil rig workers.
Yeah, they don't put a lot of emphasis on the drilling. The drilling just sort of happens.
To be fair though, the drilling does happen, except they don't make a big fucking deal out of it. The time jumps in this film are, I think, what got me the most.
Yep. So because after the exploding Jeep, we get 1 year later.
Yeah, there's no one. Actually, that's not true. People do know about it, but it's only like the top level government that know about it.
Yeah, so
because it all kind of kicks off with this
journalist.
Reporter, who they are covering the story of like
she's so dumb.
It's the Secretary of Defense or something like that. It's like Secretary of Education or Defense or something, and he resigns. And they and everyone and their mother believes that he's resigning because of an affair or something.
Yes.
Because the government are so tight-lipped on it that they all think like, oh, well, he's got to have done something stupid. He's got to have done something stupid. It must be an affair. And so he starts talking about, is it Eve? No, Ellie. That's it, Ellie.
Yeah.
So they think, and that's why they think Ellie is
a woman.
Code for a woman. And in fact, aren't they doesn't the reporter go and talk to someone outside, they're on like a fountain?
Yeah, so she starts probing about Ellie without trying to give away that she doesn't really know much apart from the name. And because of this, she ends up in a meeting with the president where she has no clue what he's talking about. He thinks that she knows about the comet heading to Earth. She doesn't, but she's kind of just like, yes. Can I be there at the press conference? Can I have the first question? Can I wear a bright red suit?
Yeah. No, but by that point, she's slowly piecing it together. She knows that it's not just about an affair,
but she doesn't know what he's talking about. So she just blags her way through it. Like, yes, the world deserves to know.
It's quite genius because she goes and meets the actual the member of the house. She goes and meets the guy, and is like, "What about Ellie? What do you know about Ellie?" And he's played by Babe's farmer. That'll do, pig. Because I can't never remember his name.
Don't ask me.
Yeah, but he's played by that guy, and this guy, and you look at it, and then you realise he's clearly preparing for the end of the world. He's got a ton of canned food. He's got a ton of supplies.
He's loading it onto a boat.
He's loading up his boat, and he's getting the fuck out of Dodge because he's realised oh shit, this asteroid's coming towards Earth. What's the point in doing my job anymore? It's just, we might as well just live our life out.
He's kind of lost hope that they'll be able to stop it, so he's quit and he's just stockpiling.
But she keeps probing about Ellie, and then because of her interest in this, FBI agents ram her off the road and take her into this secret meeting with the president, who is played by Morgan Freeman.
So good.
Yeah, and in 1998 as well, predicting a black president in 1998. What are you going to do? Anyway.
He is the reason, Obama.
He is the reason for Obama, yes. And if, But, yeah, and at that point, she starts to realise, it's probably not just an affair. Because, again, when she gets into that, they take her into, the kitchen of somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's stacked to the rafters with canned food and everything that as well.
She doesn't know what it's about, but she kind of gets the feeling it's something big, and she doesn't want to give away that she actually has no clue what they're talking about.
But I think Morgan Freeman in very, very sly acting has that sort of you have no idea what we're doing here, do you?
He's not sure. He's like, she could know or she couldn't, but I can't take the risk.
Yeah.
Of the story breaking.
So yeah, she kind of blags her way that way into the White House briefing, the
conference room. Yeah, that's right, the press room, and she manages to get the first question. And I think she also gets the second question and also the last.
Yeah, because she keeps pummeling away at questions. Yeah,
she keeps her word that she keeps it a secret. She does Google it and figure it out before the press conference, but
yes, because Ellie
only
is
because the
a
internet
code name.
is so bad back then that it only comes up with one result. So it's actually ELE, extinction level event.
Exactly. Yeah. Like the rest of the film then is sort of like her trying to come to terms with it, because she immediately gets like promoted to an anchor position.
Yeah, she's like the face of this disaster, isn't she?
Yeah. But then the rest of the film is sort of split between her reporting on the events and Elijah Wood trying to survive the events, because the comet is named after him.
Yes, they make a mistake, don't they? They think that there were two scientists who discovered it and they both died in that car crash.
Yeah, but they also don't realise that one of the scientists was Babby Elijah Wood, who discovered it just on a field trip. He just discovered it on a field trip in the desert or something, and he wasn't actually in that car that went up like a fucking rocket.
But so, they tell the whole world, don't worry, we're going to blow it up. We're going to send Bruce Willis into space, except it's not Bruce Willis this time. It's some other Willis.
There's a bunch of like actors you've kind of seen in other things, and Jon Favreau from...
the Jon Favreau show.
Yeah, he's in lots of stuff. He's probably people know him from playing Happy in the Iron Man films and Spider-Man. John Spiedelman. But yeah, like they send a spaceship up there to try and like they basically drill bombs into it and blow it up, which only succeeds in separating it into 2 asteroids. But again,
they basically break a little chunk off, so instead of one 7-mile long one, it's now 1 mile and 1 6.
Yeah, but I think this is probably where the film kind of got me hooked. I mean, it kind of had me hooked as well, because Tia Leone, who is the reporter, like is kind of all of the actors in this film play their parts very, very well, but Tia Leone like really sells it as this sort of like
I'm faking it till I make it.
Yeah, fake it till you make it reporter. I was like fame hungry as well, like
ambitious.
So that's a really compelling performance. But when they kind of throw in the time jump of like, now this space mission is ready to go, let's launch it, etc. And then being like, okay, we're doing the Armageddon plotline and it fails. Like it has more emotional roller coaster kind of events than Armageddon does. Like Armageddon is a one note kind of let's get to space and blow it up, hooray.
You kind of see the whole world's reaction to the failed space thing as well, rather than just Liv Tyler.
Yeah, Liv Tyler and Billy Bob Thornton having just a bit of a bad day. But yeah, the whole world kind of has to come to terms with dealing with the fact that they might not be alive, and
they had a plan B, but no one has a lot of faith in it. So
yeah, there's also a lot of things of just, I like the idea of the lottery. They make a lottery when they realize that like, oh yes, one of these meteors is going to crash in the ocean. It's going to kill a lot of people. That's going to be horrible. The other bigger asteroid is going to crash into the Earth and basically create a new dark age. You know, it's going to blot out the sun. So they create this sort of lottery to get people into safe
vaults,
havens,
I guess.
Yeah, yeah, they vaults. Yeah, like a Fallout like style.
A Fallout style vault.
It wouldn't surprise me that. But like, I like the idea of this film does it quite well, where like the plans don't really work out as the government intends them to, which is quite realistic. Like,
yeah, nothing planned that hastily is going to go well, is it?
Yeah, and like, because Elijah Wood has this whole thing where he basically has to choose who to take.
He gets picked immediately, and we think it's because his name's on the rocket, so he gets a pass, and so does his family. So he has this great idea, because he wants to save his girlfriend and her family too. So he said, let's get married, then you'll be my family, and they'll also be my family.
And then you can put them all on the list.
And then we can all go and together, which
Yeah.
and he said, I've squared it with them. I've never used my fame from this for anything. I'm going to use it now when it counts. And I was like, oh God, you're such a good boy, Elijah Wood.
You're going to go save a ring as well? Like, you're going to go save...
No wonder they chose you to destroy the evil in the world.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it doesn't quite work, and like his girlfriend's family kind of gets left behind.
Yeah, they only let her. They were only going to let her on after they see the marriage certificate, because they took to have a look at her and they're like, okay, fine, she can get on, they can't, and she didn't want to leave them behind because I guess that one, they're her parents. Two, that there was a chance that the meteorite would get shot down in orbit. That was the plan B.
Yeah. And 3, they have a little baby.
They had a baby,
well.
So her mother was pregnant at one point, and then there was a time skip, and then there was just a baby.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there was a time skip, and then baby.
Yeah, so they leave her behind. Elijah Wood gets on, kind of has a change of heart, and decides to go back for her. But his parents, he said, "Don't worry, I will come back. You stay here. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to get them. And it'll be fine."
Yeah, it's
he does it for love.
Yeah, I will say probably the most like frustrating bit of this film was his girlfriend's character, because she does flip flop so much.
Yeah, they don't. They should have made a reason for her flip flop.
And I guess it quite do because it that well. It's such a difficult situation as well, because obviously like it's the end of the world pretty much, but they do play up this sort of thing of like even the president doesn't know how it's going to go, NASA doesn't know how it's going to go, so the level of uncertainty in the film is incredibly high, and I get like that's how it plays into I can get that's how it would play into her uncertainty and like flip-flopping. But it even happens like when Elijah Wood goes back for her towards the climax of the film, like he finds her miraculously in the longest traffic jam in existence.
Oh yeah, because everyone's trying to get
everyone's trying to get away from the coast. Yeah.
To get away from the splash zone of Comet 1.
But that
lands in the Atlantic, I think.
It does, yeah. It finds like because he finds them. He then, because he's on this like moped or like
dirt bike, yeah.
And he finds them. He then gets his girlfriend. He's like, okay, we're going to go. And then she immediately is just like, no, but I can't leave my parents. And they're just like, no, you got to fucking go. And then they strap the baby to her chest.
They take the time which they should have done. I feel like I guess they didn't think of this at the time because they were probably panicking, but they should have just lied about the baby and said it was hers, and it would probably been let on the bus. But
yeah.
Their parents convince her, you've got to live and you've got to take this baby and you've got to make sure this baby lives too. You've got to go. And then she okay, I don't want to, but okay.
Yeah, but yeah, it's the thing of just, oh my God, Elijah Wood's here, like my boyfriend's here, I'm gonna live. Oh no, my parents are gonna die. But it's that sort of like
she really doesn't want to leave them. Yeah. I got a feeling she would have been happier if they'd all died together. Which I guess
it's slightly
fine,
dark, but
it's dark. But I guess okay. Maybe some people are, don't want to survive the apocalypse, and that's fair enough.
Some people are like that. Some people don't want to survive the apocalypse. Well, yeah, because there's also, I mean, this film has like a lot of nuance and a lot of like, again, it's a big dumb disaster movie in a sense,
but it's got a lot of heart.
It does have a lot of heart. It's much more affecting. Like I think we forego. We were about to pause it to take like 90 minutes, and I was just like, no, I have to listen to the president's speech. I think it's the president's speech when he realizes it's Morgan Freeman's speech when he realizes that all the plans have failed and that like
it's a good speech.
Both meteorites are going to crash into the Earth, and we kind of stood there for a minute, just being like, oh shit, this is really fucking good.
Yeah. It's a great film, and they even assume that the what's it called, the ship that they sent there to drill in and blow it up the first time, they assume that they didn't survive. And
they do go through some shit.
They go through
some, one of them is blind.
Someone gets, I don't know if he's blinded in the end, but he is severely burnt.
Yeah, he's blinded because he gets exposed. They have this thing.
Blinded? Does he see the baby though? At the end, he sees his baby because his baby's been born too. I thought saw him.
He knows the baby is there, but because they tell him,
right?
Like, oh yeah, it's your baby. Like, you know, his partner comes in at the last second and has had the baby, but because he got exposed to the sunlight in space and kind of fried his face,
yeah,
he can't actually see, because that's when he actually makes friends with Spurgeon.
See,
and I'm not Spurgeon. I can't remember his second name, but they have an old astronaut on there who went to the moon originally. He's one of the original like astronauts in this continuation, and he's called Spurgeon.
We can only assume his mother didn't like him.
But that's when him and Spurgeon actually like become friends, because he reads him
Moby Dick.
He reads in Moby Dick, which immediately gets a laugh out of him as well. It's like chapter 1 of Moby Dick, and you're like, oh come on, dude.
Yeah, because they think that whole ship is destroyed, and them knowing they failed, they're like, I guess we go back to Earth. We'll make it there. I'd say about 20 hours before the comet does.
Yeah,
but
so
they still they had nothing else to do, so they thought, okay, let's just go back.
Yeah, and then they decide like, oh wait, we have a couple of nukes left with us. Let's go and blow it up. It
takes them a long time. I think there's another 6-month time skip, so they're up there for a long time.
Oh,
and then they get back, and I think NASA picks them up again. They said we've got one last. We got one last Hail Mary we're going to try we can't do anything about the little one, but we're going to try and get the big one.
Yeah, so we get a good like disaster movie moment of
the little one
small
hitting,
meteorite hitting, and
it takes out most of the East Coast.
Yeah, and we surmised that. Oh,
and the entirety of the UK. Yes.
Yeah, we surmised that
we would not have survived.
Yeah, because the tidal wave reaches in as far as like the Tennessee valleys or something, they say, and we looked at it on a map and we were like, oh my god, that's much further than the entire width of the UK, so we are dead.
It probably would have taken out the UK and then probably all of Denmark, Norway and Sweden as well.
Yeah. Pardon me. I'm not going to be surprised at this rating, Lottie, but what are you going to give Deep Impact?
Oh, I don't know whether it's an A or an S. Ooh. I think it might just be a very high A.
An A plus.
I think, an A. That's a good way of saying it. An A plus.
No, well, I'm going to surpass you and just give it as an S.
Never seen it
before. It's never seen it before, and
it was
honestly,
very good, wasn't it?
Look, it takes a lot for a disaster film to be as good as The Core, Lottie, but
The Core was also incredibly good.
But I think Deep Impact has done it. Impact has done it.
I think when they get that right amount of heart and silly action at the same time, that's what makes a top tier disaster film.
Yeah, and that has both of it in spades. And I loved every minute of it. It was a very good film. It has some good dramatic tension. Good.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I always like it when I've seen a film before and I think, Fred's going to love this. And then he does.
Yeah. Well, that was exactly me with the Final Destination films as well. Yeah. So, we've had that moment a couple of times with this. And it is very good. But yeah, I think it's got like again, with the time skips, it also makes it have like 3 distinct parts.
Yep.
Character development in all 3 of them. And, you see like lots of weird little kind of niche little impacts because of the events and everything like that. It's stupid in some ways, but actually they played it quite seriously, and it works quite seriously. It is
the superior film of all 3 that we've watched this session.
This session. I have no idea what the next few films are going to be, actually.
Yeah, we had a little wipeout of our list, but it's okay. These things are made. Yeah, it's like that saying goes: planning is everything, but plans mean nothing.
I will try and take that in a good way and move forward with it. Well, so actually, by the time that this episode airs, I will have figured out what the next films are going to be, so they'll be on screen now. So
I better watch it then, so I know.
Yeah. I'll have messaged you beforehand, Lottie.
No, message to future Fred. Can you let me know what they are?
Yeah, will do. Okay, message to future Fred. Don't.
Oh.
Edit this part out so it looks like.
Oh no.
All right. Okay. Thank you for watching, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Please watch Deep Impact.
Oh yeah, watch Deep Impact. I don't actually think it's on any streaming services at the moment. But we watched it.
It might be in the region that you are currently watching from. So good luck, everyone.
Exactly. Yeah. Good luck and survive the asteroid.
Yes.
It's coming.
Everyone be an Elijah Wood.
Yeah, be more like Elijah Wood.
Oh, he was such a good boy in this film.
He is such a good boy, yes. Anyway, we'll see you later, everybody.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.